This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. So we're going to cover some ground today from both sides of the planet. And I think it's important because you know what? Currently, right now, the prices in the crypto space are falling like a manhole cover from the sky. And I want to really just point to some things that I believe absolutely give us that reassurance, or at least for myself, give me that reassurance that in times like this, when prices are not reflecting the advancements that are really taking place with the asset or the companies behind them, I like to go back to the fundamentals of what we do know. So we're going to do that today. All right, so now let's look at this right now, and it's pretty compelling information. I think you're going to like what we got at the end here. Let's do the numbers. The numbers this morning are brought to you by PureVPN. PureVPN, I love it. Help protect your anonymity online. I know I do. It's one of my many layers of protection online that I use, and I'm very, very happy with it. There's a lot of links that I have in the description and the comment box for you guys. It's things that you either will need or you may want going forward in the future. Make sure you check all of them out. They are for you. Let's get into this. Bitcoin is $10,373.91, and I wish I had 1,000 or so of them. Ethereum $335.25, and and XRP is 22 cents. Fire sale. Yeah, fire sale. Almost 5 for $1. We're getting there. Total market cap for XRP right now is $10,124 million, 10.1 billion plus, and the 24-hour is the market cap is 10.1 billion. If I made a mistake, excuse me. 24-hour volume is 1.6 billion plus, and the total circulating supply, which changed recently and came up about 55 million, is now 45,097 million plus. There we have it. Those are your numbers. So let's go ahead and touch on this bit of news. Ripple partner MoneyGram partnered with Tesco Bank expands retail adoption. The new partnership will allow MoneyGram to transfer users' assets through Tesco banking platform. In 18 months, all 1,500 Tesco stores will support MoneyGram transactions. MoneyGram is just really, I tell you, they're getting it done in a very, very big way. Let's keep this going because we got a lot to go over today, so let's keep this moving here. And shout out to XRP Wolf for that crypto news. And this, Fidelity and Deutsche Bank will adopt blockchain reporting tool for funds. TISA, which is an acronym for investment savings, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's got a whole thing there. And I actually had them up, and let me see if I can actually find that right here. Here is the site for them, the Investment and Savings Alliance. That's what it is. Okay, so Universal Reporting Network targeted at fund distributors and asset managers will launch in the fourth quarter of 2020. Well, this is nothing but good news and points to the right thing, because the reality is they're looking to adopt a blockchain, right? And to get on a new financial system. That's the point, right? That's what that means when you see it. And it's good that they do so, because I forgot to report on this, but about 12 days ago, we saw the CREST system for UK, the CREST payment system that they use for financial markets and settlement system in London and UK, suffered an outage. This was on September 12th, about 12 days ago. The Bank of England, which uses CREST system, switched to backup procedures to ensure settlement of transactions. Now, it says here that it was not due to a cyber attack. It says Euroclear said it had no reason to believe the outage was caused by a cyber attack. But I tell you what, just as the pandemic has done, it accelerates the conversation of, well, what if? It accelerates the conversation just like the pandemic does, going to a digital system because of what the pandemic brought on with everything being a virus and all of this business, right? So you look at what this is and it makes you say, hey, we need to stop and think. We need to be on a system that's an immutable ledger, cannot be hacked or cyber attacked in any way. And it really broadens and deepens that conversation to get that done. So I just wanted to highlight that there, that their payment system 12 days ago in the UK suffered an outage. Not exactly, to me, what I'd want to continue building on, right? All right, so with that being said, we see this, then we see this. This is the actual article talking about the TISA on the blockchain and moving towards that goal. I'm not going to read the article to you, but it is on my Twitter page at Backup Bradley. Let's keep this moving because that's what's happening on the other side of the world here. And let's keep this moving because back here domestically in the U.S., we see that the White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney is being added to the Chamber of Digital Commerce. The former acting White House Chief of Staff. Yeah. I mean, if you ever needed any information to understand that this is not going backwards, even while XRP is 22 cents. 22 cents. I'm getting some. And Mrs. Backup is at work, and there's nothing she can do about it. I'm buying it. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe I even give it to her as a belated birthday gift. That's what I might do. So here we go. So the Blockchain Advocacy Group also said Visa, Goldman Sachs, and Six Digital Exchange have joined the group as executive committee members. This is the kind of alliances, coalitions, and chamber of commerces that you want to see developed in any legitimate market. This is what you see take place. And look, this is coming together, and we're getting ready to look at some information that absolutely makes it very clear where we're going. U.S. Federal Reserve has been researching digital currencies along with several regional federal banks. Really? When did this happen? Experimentation like this is an important ingredient in assessing benefits and cost of a CBDC, but doesn't signal any decision by Fed to adopt it. Okay, well, let's clear this up a little bit. The Federal Reserve has been working with a new payment system since at least 2015. At least then. It could even be earlier than that. This is from Ripple Insights to remind everybody about the Federal Reserve Faster Payment Task Force that Ripple was on to improve speed and transparency of global payments. Now, this tweet right here from today makes you feel like, wow, they're just getting started. They're never going to really get this together in time, right? Until you really realize, no, this has been in the works for a long time. Set up in 2015, right? And I'll run you through it just in a quick rundown, of which Ryan Zagone represented Ripple on the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force, of which after that was done, of the 300 plus people that were on that task force, the largest companies in the world, governments and banks, right? And the reality is once they got done doing that, they came out with the McKinsey report. The McKinsey report recommended that Ripple was the best solution for this new system. And then they had a steering committee, which was the implementation of the findings of the McKinsey report, which has been all the internal documents and all the little leak this and that we've all been covering for the last couple years, 2-3 years here. And then that brings us right where we're going. And where we're going here in a second is this. The Federal Reserve is preparing to deposit digital dollars directly to each American in an unprecedented monetary overhaul. Really? Loretta Mester hints Fed is preparing to deposit digital dollars directly to each American. And let me tell you something. This is a zero hedge article, which, sometimes might be spot on, sometimes it might not. But the reality, let's take a look at what we do want to get out of this article here, which is essentially the Fed is proposing creating a hybrid digital legal tender, unlike reserves, which are stuck within the financial system, and which it can deposit directly into U.S. consumers' accounts. Remember that part. In short, we are summarized. The Fed is planning to send money directly to Americans in the next crisis, something we reminded readers on Monday there at Zero Hedge. And it says here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing so you can breathe a sigh of relief, but what I do want to get to here is this. There's a section here I want to grab for all of us. 1 second here. So, okay, legislation has proposed that each American have an account at the Fed which digital dollars could be deposited as liabilities of the Federal Reserve Bank, which could be used for emergency payments. But wait, it gets better, because in launching digital cash, the Fed would be able to scrap anonymous physical currency entirely and track every single banknote from its creation. Although the various transactions that take place during its lifetime, and eventually the Fed could remotely destroy said digital currency when it so decides. Oh, and in the process, the Fed would effectively disintermediate commercial banks, as it would both provide loans to U.S. consumers and directly deposit funds into their accounts, effectively making the entire traditional banking system obsolete. Now, it does go into other proposals and things of that nature here. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole article. It is available on my Twitter. But I do want to get to this. So this morning, as is confirmed, our speculation of what comes next, Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester delivered a speech to Chicago Payment Symposium, Payments in the Pandemic, in which, after going through the big picture boilerplate, Mester goes straight to the matter at hand and starts to talk about all these things that I've just read to you. And the experience with the pandemic and emergency payments has brought forward an idea that already gaining increased attention at central banks around the world, that is central bank digital currency. And then obviously you have the rest. And we know that they are developing these things. We know that there is a new financial system. We know that there is a new set of payment rails. And the reality is you can't use the payment rails unless you have a digital dollar or a stable coin to get in that on and off ramp to allow you to participate in this new financial system, this new digital age, right? So that's that. Let's keep going. Ripple partner FIS is teaming up with the Clearinghouse to bring real-time payment processing and settlement to small and mid-sized banks and credit unions and their customers. Really? Huh. Well, this is interesting because, one would start to think, and we've covered what we're getting ready to look at, but we're talking now about teaming up with the Clearinghouse to bring real-time payment processing and settlement to small, mid-sized banks and credit unions and their customers. And this is where I have to really say, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the long game that Ripple's been after with the use of their software and XRP, the digital asset. And if you're going to accomplish this task, I would think it's pretty obvious that you would need to at least have been on a board like the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force and have been selected as the solution. One would also think that if you're going to be serving these mid-sized banks and credit unions and their customers for real-time payment processing through the Clearinghouse, you'd also need an effective rule from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is really handles enforcement of fraudulent activities in the banking world and financial protection. If we scroll down here, page 40, it gets really interesting because we covered this back in June and July when it was really hot and the material just came out. But this will show you that the effective rule that was passed by the Consumer Protection Agency was in fact due with respect to covered third-party fees. Insured institutions and their trade associations have told the Bureau that if banks and credit unions, that's right, banks and credit unions, small, mid-sized banks and credit unions, I repeat, right, send remittance transfers using serial method, where sending institutions do not have to be correspondent relationship with all of the financial institutions in remittance transfers transmittal route. They cannot control or even know what the transaction fees another financial institution in the payment chain imposes without having a correspondent relationship with that financial institution. So there lays out the problem. These entities have been making cross-border payments, and they just have to simply accept who's going to do it for them and whatever cost they say they're going to do it for. And that is not the way we're going to do it going forward. As such, they rely on temporary exception with respect to the disclosure of covered third-party fees. Now we go to the solution. Recent market developments and potential solutions in the assessment report. The Bureau observed that the remittance market has undergone substantial change since the rule became effective. Specifically, the assessment report describes several developments regarding the growth and incorporation of innovative technologies by providers of cross-border money transfers and other companies that support such providers. The Bureau has continued to monitor the remittance transfer market since the publication of the assessment report and observes that most of these developments continue to progress. Examples include the continued growth and expanding functionality of the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, which is SWIFT's GPI, Global Payment Innovation tracking product, which can increase the amount of upfront information available to sending institutions, and the expansion of major payment card networks, capacity to support cross-border payments. Number 2, the continued growth of fintech non-bank remittance transfer providers and their further expansion into partnerships and other relationships with banks and credit unions. You mean just like they're talking about here with the Ripple partner FIS teaming up with the clearinghouse and banks and credit unions? You don't say. Now let's get back to it, which allow such entities to tap into the closed network payment system that non-bank remittance transfer providers have developed. The continued growth and expanding partnership of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement for those transfers. And then we take a look at this. This is from the federalregister.gov documents. It shows that when this came out, June 5th, right? Platform to support cross-border money transfers as well as virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. It cites the actual mark in the document I just read. It's not if. It's not when. The real question is how big? I don't need to know when. I just read to you that they're going to do it. And if you don't understand that, that's fine. If you take issue with that, that's fine. Everybody's got a right to have their own head about it. This is government documents and rules that have been made effective. I'll remind you of what Thomas Jefferson says and Brad Garlinghouse has echoed. A revolution comes from within, not without. If you're focused on the fact that XRP is 22 cents and you're wondering where your Lambo is or how you're going to be able to pop them tops, you should take this time to reanalyze how you look at markets and, more importantly, how you look at your own investments. The reason I can come on this channel and make videos and be this positive every day with Twitter trolls and the scum of the earth taking shots at us every day, it doesn't faze me. There's really only two kinds of people in this world: creators and competitors. I'm not a competitor. I'm not competing with anybody else out here. I'm not competing with anybody when it comes to investments. All I'm doing is analyzing this information, and I'm watching what the largest players of the world are doing with their money. And I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. That's what's happening. And I try to keep it just that simple. Because if you try to make it any more intricate than that, it really gets quite convoluted, and then you can hype yourself up a tree. So on days like this, when things are 22 cents, it's nice to look at the real fundamentals that have been really been put into concrete and concreted just by the government. This to me is a remarkable time for all of us, because in a down market like this, in times like this, when fundamentals are so strong but prices are so low, this is the place, this is the time where billionaires are made. This is the time where real investors understand what is happening, and they don't let it deter them. This is not financial advice. It's just my perspective on what I've seen in my 49 years thus far of living. And I tell you something, this is bigger than watching the internet come on, because the reality is you don't have to explain to anybody this time around what the internet is. This is just about making money delivered like emails. It's that simple. And if people don't get it, they never will. They can watch it from the sidelines. But the reality is I'm going to take the opportunity to create. I'm going to take the opportunity to create a new life for me and my family. I'm going to take the opportunity to create a new way of living for me and my family. I'm going to take the opportunity to create more time back in my life to spend the time with the people that I love, because I don't need a Lambo. I just want my time back. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. And that's where we are today, 22 cents. And it's not a matter of if, it's not a matter of when. It's a matter of how big, because XRP marks the spot. We are the bullseye for the new financial system. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below, and make sure you share with somebody you know. I'll catch all of you on the next one.